Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Helen the Horsebox. So today we're going to be dealing with some stuff up on the roof. To be able to do the things that we want to do, we need to first of all create a platform for us to work from. So that's going to mean dealing with the floor that is above the cab, or it's going to be the bed base is what it's going to be, but it is a floor as such. So we're going to be installing that floor above the cab, so we've got a platform to work off to then work on the roof. So let's get stuck straight into assembling the framework and getting that floor up there before moving on to the roof. So this is my crude and simple illustration of the truck. Now you can see we've got the cab here and then the area above. Now the challenge that we face is that the cab must tilt forward for maintenance. So the area above needs to be able to move up in this direction, and the door on the front also needs to open. I'm just going to draw that on now. So the door needs to open up this way. Once the door is open, then the floor can move up this way. This creates a big enough gap for the cab to then tilt, and then we can access the engine area here to be able to complete any maintenance. That's the challenge that we face. So the plan is, when I put the new floor in, is to this is going to be a solid part here that will be totally fixed in place and bolted through the aluminium that's currently there, and then these parts will be hinged, and it will either fold back twice, so this one folding totally back on the first piece and then back again, or this will be one solid piece here and we'll just fold up kind of to this sort of position once the door's open, and that'll create a big enough gap for the cab to tilt. That's the challenge that I face in designing this part. So what I'm doing here is I'm gluing and screwing together two lengths of CLS. The idea here is that the two together are going to be stronger than one singularly, to be able to take the weight of people sleeping above the area and the weight of the floor and the mattress also. These are then joined with some cross sections, and I'm going to make two of these, and I've decided that I'm going to have two sets of hinges and the bed area will fold back twice. Mostly for the cross sections you can see that I'm using a pocket hole jig, the link for which I'll put in the description of the video, along with any other little bits and bobs that I've used, the glue and the screws, etc. Now, I did face a few challenges in doing this, fixing through to the aluminium. We had to make sure that we put the pieces in place prior to actually fixing everything together, just to make sure we could see where we were going to fix through to the aluminium. But for the most part, this framework was relatively simple, and then once we've got the framework in place and completed, we used an 18mm exterior hardwood ply for the bed base. These frames have allowed for the fact that I want to use 50mm Celotex insulation in between there as well. So once this is all in place, we'll have a platform above the cab to work from, to be able to do some work with the roof. So now that the floor is installed above the cab, we've got a platform to work from, to work on the roof above it. So we're going to take the door off, the old door. It's really heavy and that'll probably get replaced. And I don't think we're going to keep the slope in front as it is. I think that's going to change as well. So you can see that the floor is rested on the existing framework that was already there. The fixed part nearer to the back of the cab, this part here, is fixed and bolted through the aluminium, and then the forward part that's hinged is then fixed to this piece as well. So that should then fold up, and then the new door will fold out, and then the cab can still tilt for maintenance, which is essential to have. There's a little bit of a gap left either side on purpose, and that is to allow for the framework that will go in above the cab and for the boards that will then cover that framework. Clearly there's going to be insulation to consider within those gaps as well. So what I've done here is I've just drawn this quick freehand sketch of the truck just to show you what we're going to be doing in the modification to the roof. Now the roof as it stands above the cab isn't tall enough for a sleeping area. Once we put the new bed in, or the bed floor in, then added a mattress, and then you add a person, it's really a tight squeeze up there. So I want to raise the front end of the roof, of the luton area above the cab. I don't necessarily want to do the entire roof. So I'm thinking that I raise up a certain portion of the roof, and then it just has a drop down, or the sides can sort of slope back down, or it has some sort of curvature to sort of integrate it back into the rest of it. The way that we would do this is we're gonna cut. I think I need the roof to raise further back than where this is here, because I need to allow for the fact that you're gonna step up into that area. So I feel like it needs to come back here. So the plan roughly, excuse me, is to cut through the aluminium cladding like this, across the roof, and then the same the other side. The plan then is to slide that roof back to sit on top of there, build brand new framework within this that's higher, if my pen works, and then to sit that roof back on top of the framework that we've built. That clearly is going to leave gaps in the cladding. The plan is to pattern match the cladding, or profile match the cladding, and order the same profile cladding to fill the gaps. That is still a bit up in the air in terms of exactly where I'm going to get that from, but I know that I can get it. So that's the plan. Also, you'll notice over here there is some crash damage. The plan is to also try and replace that cladding too, and then wherever there's windows that are going to come out, there's 4 on the other side as well. Wherever there's windows that are going to come out and I don't want windows there, I'll also order cladding to patch those areas up as well, and then the whole thing will get resprayed in whatever colour I decide. So that is the rough plan. So another thing worth mentioning here is that whilst it looks as though it's quite plain sailing, lifting the roof back on and it goes on perfect, it didn't fit perfect at all. There was a lot of manipulation involved and checking that it was level, that it was slightly sloping in the right direction that we wanted it to for rainwater to fall off, and then to consider fixing points, how we were going to fix everything back together again. It all came together really nicely. And another point to consider here was, because we'd taken the slope away from the front where the door used to sit, this now left a gap on the top at the front of the roof where the aluminium is. As you can see, it's all just being sort of fixed, and some old parts of framework that we don't need anymore. Carl's just chopping those out. So the plan is to fix a new piece on the front and attach that. We'll use an adhesive and some rivets to patch all that back together. That will be in another video. That's not going to be now. But as you can see, it's well and truly now a Frankenstein of a horse box.